I'd like to introduce you first. Bernard Rodrigue here with us today to talk about WAAPI and WAQL. And I'm counting on you to unpack those acronyms for everyone watching along at home. Bernard is the team lead for the experience team at Audiokinetic, leading up development of the authoring application and the interface. And I'm super happy to have you here today to talk about WAAPI and WAQL.
Yeah, so let's go.
Awesome.
So, all right, WAQL. WAQL is a new feature in Wwise 21.1, and it works with the other search system that we already have. So search, we know the search in Wwise. We know also the query editor. So WAQL is an additional system that is work together with these other search system in order to give you more control and to yeah. So let's try to understand how it works. Let's do a few queries and let's learn how to use it. So what I have right now is the Wwise Audio Lab project that you can find from the launcher. And what I did is I took the list view and I inserted in my layout here. So as you know, when we type text in the list view or inside the search bar, it finds content. It's looking for text in the name or in the notes. And sometimes, like this scenario here, where I'm looking for ambience, well, I'm not only getting ambience object, but I also get ambiences because it tries to find ambience in the name. So maybe that's not accurate enough for us. So let's try to build a query in WAQL that is going to be more precise. So when we type the $sign in the list view, it tells Wwise, okay, we're not doing a text search, we're doing a WAQL query. So let's wait for a valid query. So then we need to type which statement we're going to use for WAQL. And for first, we'll start simple and we'll be using the where keyword. So the where keyword allows us to define a condition that is going to be evaluated for all objects. So here we're looking for name equal to ambience. So now instead of having 5 objects like we had before in our search, we only have 3 objects because it's looking for object with exactly the name ambience and nothing else. But of course, we can do more different conditions with strings. So that's the equal operator, but we can also use the column operator. Column operator is a bit more like the search system where it's looking for the text ambience inside the name. So now we have our result with ambiences, ambience. So not only WAQL allows us to look for names, but also any property in the project. So volume, pitch, low pass filter, and anything in advanced settings, actually everything in the all properties can be used for a search. So let's try to search for something about the volume. So let's define a condition equal 0, volume equals 0. So now we have all of our object with a volume equals to 0. That's good. Let's do better. Let's say greater than 0. So now we have, as you see, objects with volume greater than 0. So it's less than 0. Okay. So let's try to refine a bit this query because we see we have sounds, we have also containers in there, a lot of stuff. So let's try to refine it and make it more precise. So let's say we're looking only for sounds. So we'll be using the and keyword and type equal sound. Okay, Now we're able to add an additional condition, the type equals sound. And now we have only sound object with a volume less than 0. That's great. Okay, so let's add another condition. So we know sound can be looping or not. So let's just try to find the looping sounds from there. So is looping enabled? Okay, so now we have sounds with a volume less than 0 that are looping. It's a convenient way to add conditions. And of course, we can have parentheses. There's the or also we can use. So we can build complex queries and conditions, be able to find objects in the project. So that's for the where keyword. So let's try to look at another keyword. Because so far, we have been searching the entire project. When you start a WAQL query with the where keyword, we are looking at every object in the project one by one, and we're asking the object, do you meet this condition? If yes, yeah, we see it here. So maybe we would like to, instead of starting with the entire project, if you have a huge project, might want to look at only a portion of the project. So that's where the from keyword comes to help. So the from keyword allows you to narrow down the start point of a query, just the source, define the source of the query. So first example, we'll be using this from type. So from type sound. So just Wwise is able to enumerate all the sounds without having to go through all events, buses, and everything. So we can specify types here. Event. Now I have all events of my project. I can use bus, or maybe I want to also have the aux bus. So I'll be adding aux bus. Now we have aux bus and bus. Let's go back to the sound. So the sound list, now I can refine this with the where keyword. So we already learned the where keyword, but we can also use it here. So now I'm adding a condition to it. So where volume is greater than 0. So we started with the list of sounds, and we're able to narrow, to refine the result using a conditional statement. Okay, so that's from type. Well, let's learn another new keyword. So from object. So there are scenarios where you might want to look for only a portion of your project, like not all the sounds, but maybe just this ambience work unit here. So what I do now is I hold the Shift key and I right-click on ambience work unit. Now I see copy path to clipboard. It's good. I'll be typing double quotes. And like this. Now what I get is exactly this object, a query returning only one object. Okay. Well, let's do something more with that, because so far it's not so useful. So let's try to learn the select keyword. Select keyword allows us to obtain other objects from the rest of the query. So let's try to select the parent. So the parent of our ambience is the actor mixer hierarchy. That's good. Well, let's try to select the children. So now we have 4 objects, which are the 4 children of our work unit. Nice. But how do we access to the other objects below? So there's another keyword called descendant. Oops, sorry. Descendants, which is same thing as children, but in recursively. So now we have all the children's under the work unit. Okay, let's try to add more stuff to it. So now we have a from query. We define the start point. And now we're able to transform the start point into a list of all descendants. And let's try to filter out. So where type equals sound. So now we have all the sounds under the ambience work unit. Okay, great. Let's do something else. So let's try to look for the, I don't know, and volume less than 0. Okay, and is looping enabled. And we have all our looping sounds under the ambience work unit for which the volume is less than 0. Okay, great. So you see a bit how you can combine different statements. So the from, there's a select, there's a where statement. So they all have different roles, and they all allows you to build, refine, or expand the query like with the select. So, okay, so we know about those keywords. Now I'll be showing another tool which is related. So let's go here. So if you go on GitHub and search for WAQL Playground, you'll be finding this project here called WAQL Playground. And it's a project on which you can download using the git clone command or the download zip. After you download, you execute the HTML page. It's going to show this. So this is a WAAPI application built into a web page that is talking to Wwise. So we see the page is connected to Wwise. It says, okay, I'm connected to Wwise 21.1, and I know you have the project Wwise Audio Lab open. Okay, it's good. They're able to talk together. And there's a WAQL field here. So let's type something we already learned. So volume less than 0. Okay, so now you see they're talking together. So we got the result from the query here listed on the page, but we also got the list view updated with our query. Let's try to resize. Okay, so we see the query is the same here. But what's interesting with this WAQL Playground is a bit like the list view where you can add and remove columns. You can do the same thing here in the web page. So by default, it's showing type and name, but there are other options. So let's try to use type, name, and path. Okay. So let's make it better. Okay. So now we see we have type, name, and path. So, and let's try to even, let's try to put the volume over here. Okay, now we have the volume.
Good to see you.
So,
and welcome.
Actually, anything that is searchable in WAAPI or that you can compare, you can also output the values in the WAQL Playground. So let's try to filter and sound equal and type equals sound. So now more our query, and let's try to find something that does not or adds container in the type. So now we have all our containers listed with those that have a volume less than 0. And we can add, for example, the short ID for those that are familiar with sound engine IDs. Now we see the short ID is also accessible. And there's many, many things you can access. Actually, let's try to see if we can find the WAV file for our sound. So now we have the WAV file listed here. And this table is actually, you can copy paste into your favorite spreadsheet so you can get this data. So you're able to extract data from your project and do something else with it. Okay, and one last thing is the examples. So the WAQL Playground comes with over 100 examples of WAQL queries, and you can just run the queries by clicking them and see a bit what WAQL is able to do. So there's also regex support. So if for those of you that are regex geeks, well, it's there for you. So you're able to be super precise in terms of the result. So let's try to do our regex where we're looking for any sound finishing with underscore and a number. So we have this here, and we have the WAV files for them. And we can also see here we are able to look for not only the properties of the object, but the properties in relation to the object. So here we have the parent's name. So to give me the object where the parent's name is music. Well, there's only one right now. Yeah, there's so many things you can do. If you want to learn further about WAQL, over here in the GitHub page, there's one important link. It's the WWise object reference. So let's try to click this. So the WWise object reference is basically telling you what are the properties that you have access. So let's try to see here. We have all our different object types in WWise. There's the sound. Well, let's bring this a bit bigger. So the sound object has all these properties. So we were using previously the looping property. So is looping enabled is defined here. We see it returns true or false. And we also see the other properties. Sometimes properties have 0 or 1 or 2. So this page is very handy to tells you what are the meaning of the property values in order to be able to query them. So yes, that's a presentation about WAQL, and I'll be on the Discord channel to answer questions. And yeah.
Excellent, Bernard. Great to have your experience with WAAPI and WAQL. And if you're just tuning in, WAQL, Wise Authoring Query Language, and WAAPI, the Wise Authoring API. These are two ways to get accessibility into the Wise project and get information out of it. And when you combine them, with the arrival of WAQL, it really just brings you that much closer to being able to reach into your Wise project and create custom workflows, right? At the heart of this, it's really about unlocking the information inside of your Wise project so that you can create custom workflows or find information about what's going on in your project so that you can continue to iterate and evolve. WAQL Playground, that is a tremendous resource. Like, what an incredible thing to have up on the GitHub. You're always leading the charge, Bernard, with bringing these tools to the community. It's so great to see what you've done. I'm going to roll the WAAPI 1 minute here as a transition to the closing statements, but I would like to say thanks so much.
Great.
It's great to have you on the Wise Worldwide Online Expo today. Great job. Thanks so much.
Thank you.